Imagine a colleague helps you with a difficult report, staying late to get it done. Or a vendor at a market offers you a small, free sample of their new product. What is your immediate, instinctive reaction? A subtle, almost invisible pressure begins to form. We tell ourselves it's a feeling of gratitude, a desire to be polite, to be a good person. But what if that feeling wasn't a noble impulse? What if it was a deep-seated cognitive bias, a powerful social contract you never consciously signed? The perception is that returning a favor is a simple act of kindness, a choice you freely make. The reality is that the moment you accept a favor, you trigger a powerful psychological mechanism that creates a feeling of indebtedness, making you susceptible to influence in ways you never realized. For most of our lives, we've been taught that this is simply the right thing to do. To return a favor is a foundational pillar of human society, a glue that holds communities together. But today, we're going to explore the hidden side of this universal rule. We will journey into the science behind the reciprocity trap, a principle identified by psychologists like Robert Cialdini that explains how this automatic human response can be strategically used against us. We will uncover the true cost of those free gifts, the psychological burden of a simple like, and the tactics used to make you say yes when you truly wanted to say no. By the end of this journey, you will have a new mental model, an intellectual compass that will help you differentiate genuine kindness from a calculated tactic, allowing you to act with clarity, not with a subconscious sense of obligation. Every culture, in every corner of the world, shares a foundational social rule: reciprocate. Give back what you have received. We tend to view this as a purely moral or ethical choice, a testament to our good character. But in reality, this behavior is driven by a deep-seated and often unconscious psychological mechanism, an ingrained cognitive bias that psychologist Robert Cialdini famously labeled the principle of reciprocity. Our brains are wired to resolve a particular kind of tension, and receiving a favor creates exactly that. Think of your mind as maintaining an emotional ledger. Every time someone gives you something, a compliment, a piece of advice, a small gift, or an act of kindness, a credit is deposited into this invisible account. The moment that credit is there, your brain registers an imbalance. The ledger is no longer at zero. That feeling of slight discomfort, or the nagging thought that you owe them one, is your brain's powerful signal to correct this imbalance. This isn't a conscious, rational thought process. It's a neurological compulsion to return the favor and restore a sense of equilibrium. This mechanism is so fundamental that it predates formal economic systems and is believed to have been a crucial tool for our ancestors' survival, ensuring cooperation and group cohesion. However, this unconscious bookkeeping system has a critical flaw. It is notoriously bad at accurately weighing the value of a favor. Our gratitude, combined with the initial sense of relief or benefit from the gift, often causes us to significantly overestimate its value. This is where the trap begins to form. The invisible social contract is no longer a tool for cooperation. It has become a mechanism for control. The reciprocity principle is a cornerstone of persuasion, and master manipulators have learned to wield it with surgical precision. One of the most classic and effective tactics is known as the door-in-the-face technique. It is an artful manipulation that plays directly on our subconscious desire to reciprocate concessions. The technique begins with an initial request so large and unreasonable that you are virtually guaranteed to say no. The requester fully anticipates this rejection and is not truly interested in it. The real goal is the second request. The door-in-the-face technique operates by creating a powerful negotiating shadow. The initial, outrageous request casts a long shadow, making the second, much smaller request seem incredibly reasonable by comparison. This is the crucial moment where the reciprocity principle is triggered. Your brain, feeling that the other person has given up something by scaling down their demand, now feels an obligation to meet them halfway. The true cunning of this technique lies in its ability to distort our perception of value. Our minds are not evaluating the request on its own merits, but in comparison to a false benchmark. We are not just saying yes to the request. We are saying yes to the perceived social pressure to restore balance, to reciprocate a concession that was never really a concession at all. The power of reciprocity extends far beyond personal favors and negotiation tactics. It is a fundamental pillar of modern commerce and digital marketing. In the marketplace, the principle is weaponized under the guise of generosity. These are not acts of charity. They are carefully orchestrated attempts to activate the reciprocity principle and create a feeling of indebtedness. A potent analogy for this is the mental fishing line. The free gift is the bait, seemingly harmless and without a hook. But the moment you accept it, a subtle mental fishing line is attached to your consciousness. The brand or salesperson now has a connection to you. They can gently reel you in with subsequent offers, sales pitches, and requests for your time. Your brain, having registered that you received something of value, feels compelled to at least OOFA, consider their next proposition. In the digital world, this principle has become even more insidious. The like or share on social media, the free webinar, the helpful article from a thought leader, all of these are designed to provide value first, creating a social or cognitive debt. The next time that same person or brand asks you to engage, buy, or subscribe, your pre-existing feeling of receiving something from them makes you far more likely to comply. The reciprocity trap has evolved from a face-to-face interaction into a scalable, impersonal force that influences millions of decisions every day, all under the guise of an open, generous exchange. While the principle of reciprocity is a powerful force, it is not foolproof. When wielded clumsily, it can have the opposite effect, creating suspicion and resentment instead of obligation. This is what we call the reciprocity backfire. The backfire occurs when the gift or favor is perceived by the receiver not as a genuine gesture, but as having a blatant, ulterior motive. The gift is no longer seen as a kind act, but as a weapon of manipulation, a tool with strings attached. The psychological burden of the debt is replaced by the psychological burden of being manipulated. This is the critical difference between a genuine act of kindness and a calculated tactic. A genuine gift is given without any expectation of return. A manipulative tactic, however, is a transaction disguised as generosity. The best way to identify the difference is to observe the reaction of the giver when you are unable to pay them back. When we understand this distinction, the supposed trap of reciprocity loses its power, and our trust in others can be placed on a more solid and authentic foundation. The goal is not to become a cynic, rejecting every gesture of kindness for fear of being manipulated. The goal is to develop a new mental model for receiving. The challenge is that our automatic response, the gratitude, the feeling of debt, is powerful and instant. To overcome this, we must consciously insert a mental pause button between receiving a favor and responding to a subsequent request. This pause is the moment where we regain our autonomy and shift from an automatic reaction to a deliberate choice. This new mental model involves a three-step process: acknowledge, analyze, and decide. First, acknowledge the gift or favor with genuine gratitude. This step allows you to separate the emotion of gratitude from the subsequent feeling of obligation. Second, analyze the context. This is the crucial, conscious step. Ask yourself a series of clarifying questions. What is the true motive behind this gift? Is it a genuine gesture, or is there an agenda at play? This analytical pause allows you to examine the situation objectively, forcing the invisible social contract out of the shadows and into the light of conscious thought. Finally, decide with clarity. Based on your analysis, you can now make a decision that is truly your own. Your ability to refuse a request does not negate your initial gratitude for the favor. You have separated the gift from the debt it was intended to create. We have spent our time exploring the subtle and powerful trap of reciprocity. We have uncovered the invisible ledger in our minds, the sophisticated game of the door-in-the-face technique, and the hidden costs of free gifts. But the central truth of this journey, the moment of profound clarity that resolves the fracture between our perception and reality, is this. The feeling of obligation is not a moral failing or a sign of personal weakness. It is a biological and social programming, a default setting that has been running on autopilot for most of our lives. The most significant cost of the reciprocity trap is the loss of our own autonomy. It's the erosion of our ability to make truly conscious decisions, to act in alignment with our own values and priorities. The moment we can identify this feeling of obligation, this uncomfortable sense of, I owe them, we have already won half the battle. The key to escaping the trap is to receive with an open heart, but to decide with a clear and protected mind. This is the resolution. This is the moment we stop being victims of a subconscious bias and start living as architects of our own decisions. We began our journey questioning a simple, everyday social courtesy. We end it with a profound understanding of a fundamental human bias. The reciprocity trap, while an ancient and powerful mechanism, is no longer a mystery to you. The mental model is simple, but its application is transformative. Acknowledge the generosity, analyze the context, and decide with clarity. This simple act of conscious thought is your greatest defense. It allows you to honor the beauty of genuine human kindness without becoming a pawn in someone else's game. True autonomy is the ability to say yes because you want to, not because you feel you have to. By understanding the rules of this psychological game, you have now given yourself the power to play by your own. Go forward with a new awareness, ready to identify the trap and to live your life with gratitude, but without the burden of obligation.